Eric Orell, head basketball coach at La Cueva High School. And Eric, well, congratulations on my show. I mean, first of all, we haven't got together last year, first year as head coach at La Cueva. And let's talk. Let's just go back a year and talk about why did you decide to get back into the profession? And let's just start right there.
Yeah, so I was at Highland the year before, and I was teaching at La Cueva, and had recently got the head golf job, and then found out that the head basketball job had also opened up, and had a great time with Coach Woody over at Highland. We won that state championship, and then wanted to get back to running my own program. I was already on campus, so it was just kind of a natural thing to move back into the first chair and see what I could do at a storied program like La Cueva.
Well, it was but you were the head golf coach. I mean, you kind of got hit with double whammies right there in the beginning.
Yeah.
And tell me how that kind of worked out.
Yeah, so it ended up being that, the golf job opened up late spring, and my son's a golfer, and so it'd just be more around him. And, high school golf's one of those, really nice gigs. You get to miss some school occasionally, go hang out at the golf course. And so I applied for that.
Nice.
Yeah, that spring wind can get a little crazy. But then, that was like in June I found out that I got the golf job, and then July I found out the basketball job opened up, and had a long conversation with my family and my wife, and knowing that coaching two sports, really basically year-round, because golf's fall and spring, and then adding the basketball piece would be a lot. And they gave their blessing and went after it, and really glad that I did. I've been having a good time.
Well, I tell you, the family is very important, and I got to say this: you got a great wife. Okay, so I tell you, I just really got to meet her. I've known who she was, but in the last, you introduced me like the beginning of the season, and I tell you, you can tell she's devoted to what you're doing, and that's a big help.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, coaching takes, it's another full-time job, and without the support of your wife and kids, and coming to games, and knowing that I'm going to be missing some things, and road trips, and holiday tournaments and all that, she's fantastic. I couldn't help for a better woman in my life to help me support what I like to do.
And I think the biggest thing is the ups and downs, because La Cueva, you can say, is a high prestige job in Albuquerque. You win, you didn't win by enough. If you lose, you shouldn't have lost. Okay, you don't. I've heard it all the way back to Frank. I was there at La Cueva. I've heard coaches that have been there that you no matter what you do, there's always somebody criticizing what the results are. Mm-hmm. So, but a win's a win. That's real simple. I've always told you that. You come up and sometimes and said, "Well, I won." Your dad's look. You won the game, man. Forget all everybody else. That's a hard enough chore for any coach to do on a consistent basis.
Yeah, and it's a lot of film. Like you do lose, and my wife knows it's a sleepless night for me watching film, trying to figure it out. And even sometimes after the wins, you have a hard time kind of decompressing, and so it's a labor of love for sure. I love watching film. I love, getting in the gym with the kids. But yeah, in the end, it's a lot, and got to have support from the people around you.
And then you got all the announcers that have all the answers coming up before the game, telling you how to win the game. Okay, so I
always appreciate any feedback from somebody that's played the game, right? That's coached the game. So
well, I know I try to make you laugh and just let you be relaxed when you deal. But I've always tried to be, it's one thing. I've always tried to be just to see my point, because I play the game before I come to the game. Okay, right. I mean I prepare as a coach of what it's going to take your team to beat the opposing team and all that, and there's no big secret. I tell people my thoughts, and
you can tell, like the pregame conversations you and I have when you are doing our games, like you know our kids, our program, and you've been around long enough to understand what it takes.
Well, I tell you, expectations of last year, okay, coming in, high profile job. I mean, there's a lot of people wanting that job. It's something, go back to Frank is still, he's built that, well, I'll just take the administration, I'll just even go even further. The administration, they expect blue trophies. I mean, not district trophies, they expect blue trophies. But coming into the program, you had to prove yourself, maybe just a little bit in disarray. It was unfortunate the circumstances that you were it's a good thing you were hired, but unfortunate for what LaQuave's program had to go through.
Yeah, and it was a late hire. I mean, I didn't officially get the job till after school had started. And so I was there with Coach Castillo. The seniors last year were freshmen, my last year with Coach Castillo. And so I was familiar with them, but helping Coach Castillo at the varsity level, I knew the freshmen coming in. And so I had at least a idea of most of them. There were a couple new ones that weren't there when I was there. And so the expectation is, like you said, the administration, the community, the parents, the players, they expect to be there on that last Saturday. And that's always the goal walking into the season. But, as we approached it last year, we've got to put some things together before we even have that opportunity. And it's about getting in the gym every day and trying to get better and learning how to play with each other. And, so it was definitely a learning year for me, stepping into the head job at a storied program like that Coach Castillo built from, day one of La Cueva High School. And, there's a lot of pressure with that, but I like pressure. Pressure doesn't bother me.
Well, I think that it's this part of it. I mean, it's great that is there, because now you're not rebuilding it. You just got to go win.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's what it is. Yeah. You got to go win and put the pieces together that you have.
Yeah, and we were given good pieces. It took longer than I would have liked to kind of get those pieces to gel with what my expectations were and how we play. But they bought into the system when it was time, and we made a little run, and a turnover and a tip in at the pit, away from making semifinals. So.
Well, I think if I'm coming into a program, it doesn't matter which program or anything is, you had an up and down season. I mean, and I can speak candidly on this. You don't have to say anything on it. It's just, I just didn't think your chemistry was good. Okay, and we'll leave it at that. But I kept telling you, I go, man, you're getting closer, and you're kind of looking at me like, Steve, we may not even make it in the playoffs, and you get a number 10 seed. And I remember vividly, I said, look, I think you can go win it all. I was like, and people were like looking at me, how can this team go win it all? And I said, they got all the pieces. They're finally starting to I think the word was trust each other. And like, you don't have to speak on this. This is my observation outside in. And shoot, you go down into Carlsbad. Talk about that experience. I know we're going over our little time. I'm going to move a little forward because I want to talk about the experience of going to Carlsbad, because I played there when I was there. Yeah. That gym is it's at the far corner. Talk about that preparation, and you're an underdog.
Yeah, I mean, going in as an underdog, nice long bus trip. I grew up in that. I played in that district back when I was at Goddard in high school, so I know that gym, I know that community, and Albuquerque kids don't understand the bus rides. It's growing up, going playing high school ball in Clovis, Carlsbad, everywhere is a bus ride, And so we got ready, we got prepared. I saw that we had Carlsbad, and, watched some film and knew that we had an opportunity. They had two really good players, and then some really good.
They had the guard, the
guard, and the big kid, the football player that's at U of A, or I signed with U of A. Going down there knowing that
and a good coach.
Be against him. Yeah. And runs that 2-3 zone, that he's always run no matter where he's been at. And so, we hadn't faced a whole lot of zones up to that point. And so a lot of our preparation was getting ready to attack the zone and where we needed to get the ball and, do what we need to do. And we started slow, and then, one of our kids came off the bench and gave us a little spark on offense, 6 straight points, and then we kind of rolled from there, up and down, back and forth. And then a huge steal at the end and a huge shot at the end to get us to the pit. So that was, it was really fun experience, and I think the kids really enjoyed it. And that bus ride back was so much better.
I tell you what, I know that bus ride, but I was from Clovis to Carlsbad, not from Albuquerque to Carlsbad. It's almost like going to Hobbs, and it's actually a little further than Hobbs, not too much, but it does make that deal. When I was coaching with San Diego, we beat Hobbs to come to the state tournament. We don't San Diego, we win at Hobbs, and I tell you what, it made that deal. Now, but you got to regroup.
Yeah.
I mean, one, you're not supposed to win. All of a sudden, you win, and then all of a sudden you're at the pit.
Yeah. Yeah, so, you know, when
We're going to stop right there. We're going to go to Evergard Roofing and Solar top 10 plays of the week.
There's a 3-ball, that's short. Rebound, Renfro had it poked away, gets it back, 3-on-2, Renfro all the way. You're not going to step in front of that. That's a business decision.
Here's Duncan now. Back to Hines. Yes.
Comes in averaging just over 6. Fellow number 22 on the other end. And a shot put up and in.
Royland bangs it home. Royland Ramirez smashes that one home. Ropes his rope of a shot. Boom! Right through the goal of Royland Ramirez.
25-21, steal now. Coming down the lane is Adams. A little Euro step, lays it up and in. Thomas Adams.
Outside to Ortiz with the long 3. Yes.
That's Diabajé. Diabajé gave it to Brown. Brown a 3. Right wing. Got himself a slight bit of daylight and hits yet another 3.
Marquise almost lost the dribble, then he sees the paint. Open up.
Wow, what athleticism, huh? What balance.
Garcia did a sweet move his first time. He dribbles it in, and it went in before the 5. Nate Yeager makes the save, and the runners get the big play. They are the winners. First win of the season comes at home in shootouts.
Most of those, 10 to be exact, in the second quarter. Steal, here comes Brown, and Brown gets a short one this time.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. For over 20 years, Evergard Roofing and Solar has been committed to customer service. Locally owned and operated, Evergard offers both commercial and residential roofing and solar services. For more info, please call 505-821-9543. Evergard Roofing and Solar are proud supporters of ProView Sports Network and New Mexico Youth Athletics.
Hey, welcome back to Steve Show. We got Eric Orell, the head basketball coach at La Cueva High School, and we were talking about last year, and you win at Carlsbad, you come back to the pit, and emotion, and I think my advice to any coach who goes to the pit is, first of all, you got there. So congratulations for getting there, okay? Because that's a hard. People don't understand how hard it is to get there, and then talk about the preparation for that first game.
Yeah, so when we found out it was Los Lunas, I coached with Travis for years at Manzano.
So it's kind of personal.
Yeah,
you know what he's going to do. There's no long deal. You've watched the deal, so. That's got to be a plus because you know how the guy thinks, you know what to do. He knows what you think, so that part is,
Yeah, no, it was fun. We're good friends, and part of being away a little bit was missing some of that, just camaraderie and stuff like that with other coaches. So knowing that it was Travis and the amount of time that we spent game planning when I was his assistant at Manzano, and but you don't always know. he's always going to put a little wrinkle in there. And then obviously having a player like, Jalen Holland, who's just fantastic. Had to prepare for him. And, but we really for that week made it about us. Yes, we're going to play Los Lunas. Yes, I coached with Coach Julian before, but you know what? This is about us and about trying to get us to the point where we wanted to get at the beginning of the season. And, we held Jalen in the first half. He got into some foul trouble, which allowed us. We just couldn't quite extend the lead far enough to make it work at the end. And then we had our shots at the end. And, I think all in all, that game just kind of proved that we belonged and, went down to the wire, and it was fun.
Well, I'll tell you, that experience, it's unless you've been in it, you don't get it. People don't. The fans just don't get it. It's like you get to go in the Lobo deal, you get to run down the ramp. You can just your hair, your adrenaline, your everything. Then you get to be, Patino for an afternoon, and then you get to explore the excitement and the emotion of it. And all right, game's over. Now, what have you done? How did you prepare for this year?
It's figuring out who's coming back. It's watching film from the previous year on things that we can get better at. It's making sure my staff is intact. I think a lot of times, people on the outside don't understand how important having people you trust on staff, whether it's your C-team coach, JV coach. My assistant Lyle Pino has been a fantastic for me the last couple of years. And so, we sit down with staff. We do evaluations on us, each other as coaches. We do evaluations on our players. And then just try to figure out what's going to work next year.
Well, I think, you said it, is building your platform or what you're trying, your system. Okay, everybody's got a system, but the successful coaches, they start with a C team where that C team is running what you're running. That way, if they move up to the JV is running what you're running. So just by the time they're seniors, they've seen the plays, they've seen the system, they've seen. There's nothing new to them.
Right. Yeah, and that happens for us to an extent. I also want, part of the reason I love this job is I hope to see some of my younger coaches become head coaches themselves. And so giving
just like
some of
yourself.
that. Yeah, exactly. Greg Brown, when I was a C-team coach at Manzano with him, he gave me some autonomy to do what I wanted within the system that he envisioned. And I try to do that with my coaches, at the younger levels here are some,
Here's some specifics.
Yep.
But then, hey, guys, go win a game.
Yeah, go win a game, go learn how to coach. I think, I've been blessed to have coaches under me, my JV and C-team coaches that are willing to learn, that are willing to kind of step outside the box and do something that might make them uncomfortable. And that's how you become a better coach.
Well, I tell you, then coming into the year, your expectations. I'm gonna hold off on that. We're gonna come back and we're gonna finish up with that. And we're gonna take a break.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
I was born in New Mexico. I grew up on these streets. I got in trouble here, and I fought my way back in boot camp. I love New Mexico, especially the people. Now I'm using my training, tenacity, and energy to fight for you. I'm Adam Oki, lawyer, fighter, and New Mexican. I was a local athlete here in New Mexico, so I'm proud to support your local athletes.
For your business or your home, Valley Fence stands alone. We're number one in New Mexico for a reason. It's the best fence you can own. Proudly serving New Mexico for over 50 years. At Valley Fence, the difference is clear. No fence too big, too
International Protective Services is a proud supporter of ProView Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. IPS provides residential and commercial security services in the Albuquerque metro area. For more info, please call 505-897-2420 or visit internationalprotectiveservice.com.
Hey, welcome back to Steve Davis Show. We got Eric Orell, and I just love talking basketball with you. It's fun and talking about your players. And I've coached, for 5 years at La Cueva as assistant coach under Frank, and then also, I live probably 1 mile due east, exactly due east of La Cueva, and talk about coming into this year, and then we'll talk about where you're at today.
Yeah, so coming into this year, we knew we were fairly senior laden last year in terms of minutes and statistics, points, rebounds, things like that. So, coming into this year, we knew we had two returners that played significant minutes, and then one that we knew was going to be important to us that missed a lot of the district season the previous year to an injury. And so, we're just trying to really figure out, who we're going to have, do some evaluations of the JV kids and the kids coming in, and then kind of build a program around that, team around that, and found out that Dylan Chavez would be joining us, in the fall. And so in the summer too, and trying to figure out how that was going to work into, the chemistry piece and what we wanted to do. So a lot of just kind of reflection and evaluation of our first year together as a staff and a team. And, we went down to Eastern New Mexico for their team camp and kind of got to spend a weekend together, just us. And I think that was huge for us to build some chemistry and gel a little bit.
Season starts and you start off with an easy game. Volcano. Somebody that you coached with and hadn't lost a game in for forever.
Yeah, right off the get go, having our football players out for 3 practices, prior to that game, you knew it was going to be, what do we have? We hadn't had a whole lot of practice with all of our guys together in the gym at the same time, and Greg runs a great program over there, and coming right out of get-go, and then we played a good first half, up 3 at halftime, and then got into some foul trouble in the second half. But I think it was a good kickoff because we got to see bits and pieces of what we can be.
Yeah, I did that game, and it was just a little bit. It seemed they got you because of their chemistry at the end. The first half you couldn't play. For that time of the season, you probably didn't say much at halftime, and just probably said, "Hey, these guys are going to come out and run." I remember they put Aguino out on the perimeter, and he just kind of took over, and you really didn't have an answer for what their adjustments were.
Yeah, and I think part of that's just we didn't have enough gym time. It was still trying to figure out where everybody fit into the system, and our game plan was when we executed it, it worked. But I think there's a little bit during the season you want to be playing your best basketball in February and March, not November, December.
Well, you learned that last year, and that's the thing. But kind of the rest of the year has been kind of up and down. Okay, you play consistent. When you play consistent, you're hard to beat. Whenever your defense is off a little bit, then that seems to when there's not communication is when you guys struggle and you give you give away easy baskets, and that seems to be when y'all play with a defensive intensity because of your size and everything. Guys are hard to beat.
Yeah, and I think that's
with your length.
Yeah, and I think that's where the light bulb came on. Was that offensively we can put points on the board. Even in some of our losses, we scored, and on the defensive side, it was we can't let them play harder than us.
District play starts, and it's not the start you wanted.
No, obviously not. Coming out of the gates with West Mesa and playing pretty well at the beginning, and then just kind of letting it slip away at the end. I think it was difficult at the time. But I think we learned from it, And that's all you can do with a loss. That's what I try to preach to our kids. Like, you can't
And
remember it, but you can learn
court,
from it.
correct me, it was a home court loss.
Yeah.
And you always want to. I mean that's to rebound from that. That's always, because then you have all the second guessing. Everybody's second guessing you at that point.
Yeah. But we learned from it. We the players had team meetings themselves, and we had meetings, and we watched film, and I think they saw that they were really, really close, and I still think our best basketball is still in front of us. But learning from those missteps, if you learn from them, then they're not really missteps.
Well, now you're on a 4-game winning streak. You have sole possession of second place, and you have 4 games left.
Yeah. So
you need a little help with somebody you beat West Mesa. Probably you lose your starting guard and leading scorer. And talk about that going into that game this last weekend.
Yeah, I mean, dropping to the whole conversation.
Sandia's the other one that was big. I mean, and they couldn't have played any better.
No, they shot the ball.
I was there at that game too, and I was like, hey, they're just days that are like that. You just gotta just regroup and go.
Yeah, and I think dropping to the first 3. In district, it was something that put our backs up against the wall, and we told them after the Sandia game, every game from here on out's an elimination game, and that's the mindset you have to come in with, is that like we're in one and done season, even though we know we have other games on the schedule. If you want to achieve what you want to achieve, it's one and done, and you got to come in with that mindset.
Well, I think I don't 100% agree with that statement. I think it's. You're one and done on the top 8.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to be a home court game. Okay, forget if you're 1 or 2, 3. As long as you're at 8 or under, you want to be a home. You've already been down that road, and you want to, and you have success at home.
Yeah, and that's ultimate goal is to have that top 8 seed, win district. Obviously is a goal that we set. The kids set as a result-oriented goal, and but we put ourselves in a position where we need a little help. But in the end, we want to play home. That first round wants to be at home.
Well, and back to how big and important this game. One was at West Mesa. They've been there on a winning streak. I thought you caught them. I thought they were flat after just shooting. And I did the Sandia West Mesa game. They came out. I don't think they could play any better.
Yeah.
But it shows the potential that they can play at if you don't defend.
Right. And they hit shots in that game. And so we knew coming in that, if they continue that hot streak, we're going to have to adjust. And I thought defensively in the first quarter, we kind of set that tone pretty early and was able to get a lead and held on.
Well, hey, good luck to the rest of the year. And it's always fun to talk about La Cueva and also talk about your student athletes.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. You guys do a fantastic job over here exposing all the high school athletes in the state, so we appreciate what you do, Steve.
Well, congratulations. Well, good luck to you the rest of the year.
Appreciate it. Thank you.